vision has become reality. And in this reality, Orlando International Airport is a true intermodal transportation facility where passengers can take a plane, a train, or even an automobile to their destination.
This new Terminal C will further our efforts to diversify our local economy and bring the world to Central Florida. Having a world-class airport like this helps us attract top-tier companies to the area, creating good-paying jobs.
As one of the largest economic engines in the entire state of Florida, we're thrilled that in bringing millions of visitors to our community, we are contributing to the economic well-being of the entire region.
I grew up here in Central Florida, so I remember coming to the old Quonset hut to fly out on Eastern. This airport, and now this beautiful Terminal C, is a perfect example of what this community can do when we work together.
It has taken the collective vision of our current board, previous GOA board chairs, dozens of board members over the years, and countless members of the community to help us bring this Terminal C vision to reality.
This new expansion at the Orlando International Airport is an ultra-modern construction project that brings all of the technology that one will see in an airport anywhere in the world.
Orlando continues to show the world what happens when innovation, technology, and transportation opportunities are combined. The result is a state-of-the-art airport that connects people from around the globe and highlights how unbelievably real Orlando really is.
It's my hope that Terminal C will shine as a beacon of inspiration for our entire region for years to come.
It has taken over 40 years of planning by some of Central Florida's visionaries, and I know that we are continuing their legacy and are planning and dreaming of much more in the future.
Vision becomes reality.
Vision becomes reality.
Vision becomes reality.
Vision becomes reality.
The airport is our gateway to the rest of the world for ideas, for people, for business and commerce.
Communities with great international airports prosper and grow.
Good morning, Orlando. What do we think? Yes, vision becomes reality, and we are all here today. Good morning, I'm Vicki Jaramillo. I'm Senior Director of Marketing and Air Service Development here at Orlando Airport. Been here for the past 28 years, but like many of you in our community, you've seen our community and our airport grow. When you think about it, that the terminal, the North Terminal, which is, you know it as Terminals A and B, opened for first operations on September 20th, 1981. So Terminal C was 41 years in the making and is the largest construction project in MCO's history. So as you look around, you can see that we have taken another leap forward in the evolution of Central Florida, and it is a spectacularly designed facility. I know you all are very proud of it. And as community partners, you are connected to our history and to our future. And I would like to thank many of the people from the GOA team that were able to help us make this day possible. From constructions to concessions, from marketing to maintenance to operations, so many other GOA teams, thank you for all your help in making it happen. But I especially want to point out or highlight somebody from my team, Darren Lampana, who was point on this and make sure that all the details were covered. So thank you, Darren. Would also like to thank our event sponsors with us this morning. We have JetBlue, who will be the anchor tenant here, Experience Kissimmee, Visit Orlando, and Brightline. So thank you to them. Yes, round of applause. So this morning's program, you'll hear from Kevin Thibault, the CEO of the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority, along with comments from our Mayor Demings, Orange County, as well as the Chairman of the Aviation Authority, Carson Good. Following that, Raquel Asa, who is currently the Chief Marketing Officer at Go Beep and former WFTV transportation reporter, that you may remember, she will introduce our keynote speaker, which is Edward Russell from Skiff Airline Weekly. Following his comments, they will have a fireside chat, that's the chairs here, and talk about a lot of the aviation airline topics that are in the news these days. So It is now, oh, one last thing. After the program, if you had signed up to do one of the tours, you should have received a group number. So when the program is over, you'll see your number to come up for your tour. So you don't want to miss this. And then lastly, it is my distinct honor to introduce the person that helped us get across the finish line, and that is our distinguished CEO, Mr. Kevin Tebow.
To this beautiful Terminal C. You know, here at the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority, we are really blessed with some key leaders that help every day help us do what we need to do in delivering transportation solutions for the region. And so I want to introduce our board of directors first, and then introduce obviously Mayor Demings and our chairman to say a few words. First with us here today is our board, Belinda Ortiz-Kierkegaard is our treasurer. Belinda? Other board members include Tim Weishire. We have Craig Mateer from the board. And so this asset is owned by the City of Orlando. And so we are very blessed to have on our board the mayor of the City of Orlando, Mayor Buddy Dyer. So some already have said to me, Kevin, what are you going to do about the voice on the people movers? So Mayor, we got to get you in the script here and get you in the sound booth. There's the next take of the sound of MCO here. So with great pleasure, I'm here to introduce the Mayor of Orange County. Congratulations, Mr. Mayor, on re-election, to say a few words.
Thank you, sir. All right, I see that the microphone is working. Good morning to all of you. I'm indeed honored to be here today with 400 of my closest friends on this pre-opening day here at the Orlando International Airport and Terminal C. Now, as I think back to when I first began my relationship here with this airport, it goes back to 1981. And let me explain what I mean by that. I was a senior in college, but I had a part-time job whenever I would come home. And I worked as a security guard on the ground here. At that time, they were shoveling dirt for the new expansion here at the Orlando International Airport. So I got to see it in the darkest hours of the night, and sometimes I was quite bored. So bored that I would sometimes get up and I would crank up the heavy equipment, and then I didn't know how to turn it off, but I didn't get caught doing that. But today, ladies and gentlemen, we are not bored, are we? With this new crown jewel as part of the airport's economic engine for our community, it really demonstrates the promise of the future of our community with a multimodal transportation system here. And I think the crux of what we're doing here today is we will see the intersection of planes, trains, automobiles, and then we're just a stone's throw away from our cruise ports here. All of that will come together. Now, everyone, I hope, in this community knows that I have been talking much about further investment in our transportation infrastructure. We will have a little thing called a sales tax that will be on the ballot this November the 8th, which hopefully will increase connectivity east and west. So the promise of the future to get the workers here to this airport more efficiently is something that I really look forward to. It's not just about those who, the 50 million or so who will come to visit here. This terminal is projected on an annual basis to have over 10 million passengers coming through, where all of us are seated here today. And so with that, I say to the staff, to the CEO, Kevin Tebow, and the entire staff here at the Orlando International Airport, congratulations on delivering this $3.4 billion investment in our community that will produce billions of dollars over the decades to come. So thank you, and as a homegrown boy like Mayor Dyer, born and raised here in this community, thank you all for what you're doing here at the Orlando International Airport. Mr. Peacock.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'd like to introduce our chairman of the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority, Mr. Carson Good.
I got your attention. Hello, Noah, build me an ark. Anyway, thank you. I am not as adept, so I have to read from my notes. Good morning. It is my distinct honor to be here today to greet and welcome you to the future of Florida travel, Terminal C. On behalf of my fellow board members, CEO Kevin Tebow, we are here to celebrate the work of so many people. Most importantly, we're here to thank them. It's been 10 years in design and construction, in the very midst of which descended a worldwide pandemic that shut down the projects and dreams of so many people. Yet our team of dedicated leaders, project managers, consultants, contractors, and workers had the faith and commitment to press onward. This is a true testimony of perseverance. And further, it's a demonstration of the continued ingenuity, dreams, and commitment of our community as shown in the quality and growth of this very special airport. Throughout 4,000 years of human civilization, great cities were built around world-class ports, whose quality and growth were driven by world-class community leaders. Orlando is blessed with a 50-year history of leaders who understood the importance of a superior port and brought us to where we are today. Today, this Terminal C adds an impressive 25% increase to our overall airport capacity, relieving the stress of our overflowing North Terminal and freeing us up for our primary mission, Vicki, delivering Central Florida residents and businesses ever-increasing connectivity to the world, and doing so with ever-improving ease and efficiency. Not only does the design of this facility offer us magnificent openness and sunlight on which to build the Orlando experience, it is highly functional, likely the most technologically advanced air terminal in the nation. From improved curbside flow to multimodal access to automated security screening at TSA lines to our state-of-the-art baggage system, this is a facility for today's and future generations. While our colleagues at the Miami International Airport still like to call themselves the gateway to Latin America, the Orlando International has truly become the gateway to Florida, placed in the center of the state with 145 domestic and international nonstop connections. Half of the state's population is within our market. They will choose to come to Orlando International because when someone arrives from England or New York or the Middle East, we will strive to welcome them with a feeling that they have truly arrived somewhere amazing. Happy people, efficiency, great service, sunshine, natural, tropical Florida beauty. Growing the quality and capacity of this airport not only attracts new and repeat visitors, but allows each of you easier access to wherever you want to go. Just as importantly, it'll continue to attract new companies with a focus on aerospace, technology, and transportation logistics to relocate to our new community, bringing with them higher and higher paying jobs. You're here today from our team. It takes amazing effort to go from concept to vision to reality, and my board and I are thrilled to play some part of it. Thank you to our incredible staff and consultants. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So before I get started, you've heard me others say the last 5 months I had the opportunity to lead this great group and push this over the finish line, but really it was started by an individual who's here with us today who served as the CEO for a number of years. So please welcome and thank Phil Brown. Typical Phil, he's in the back. That's all right. We see you, Phil. Thanks. Thanks for everything you've done. So you saw in the opening video a little bit of the progress of this construction. But I thought we'd just take a few moments to kind of say, as you heard from the mayor, how we got here. And just spend a little bit of history in the making. So we're going to talk a little bit about who is the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority, our history here at Orlando International, our numbers, which is very important to talk about why we have done what we've done, where we are today, but more importantly, where are we going in the future? And then we are truly becoming multimodal. So as I heard you heard me say earlier, we are the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority. We have 7 board members who are really engaged and active in helping provide oversight and policy direction to our board. And as I mentioned, the 2 mayors serve on that board with us. Everything we do here and what you see here today is all about the Orlando experience. You see it branded, but I think now you're seeing it actually put into place here at this terminal. It's about the design concepts. It's more importantly about our mission and where we want to go as a vision. But it all started way back, a long time ago, in the 40s. This was the old McCoy Air Base. So anyone tells you, why does it say MCO on my luggage tag? It's because it was the McCoy Air Base. ORL is actually the executive airport. So back in the 40s, it was training site for World War II, but it was also as a buildup during the Cold War era. It was the leading employer until 1971. Then I think we know what happened after that. What a deal we got. We got the property for $1, man. That is a pretty good deal. There is a reverter clause on there when I was doing my history, right? If we ever need it for military, let's hope we never get there. Anyway, but just to remind people, if you haven't seen it, we've got a retired B-52D bomber in the northwest part of the property. And it's a really nice memorial park there to obviously recognize those that served here for the decades that it was McCoy Air Force Base. But through the years, we evolved. We started as a Quonset hut. Those of us that remember way back at the beginning, it was right along the beach line there. That was the terminal back in the day. And obviously, we evolved over the time. Here's a little picture back in the day, the old Quonset hut. And I had to do a little bit of memory lane, Laura. I had to put B-line, sorry. Because those of us that grew up, started here many years ago, we knew it as the B-line. But not everyone was optimistic in 1981 when we opened this new facility, the one that we called Terminals A and B back in the day. You can see here, it's bad time for a new airport. No one's ever going to use this airport. And this association that Disney is next to Miami, I don't know where they were going. I don't know about you, but it's not close by. So $300 million, and as Vicki mentioned, we opened on September 20th, 1981. Now, if you saw the signs coming in, what is the date we're opening? September 20th. That was by coincidence, by the way. Am I right, Vicki? Darren's putting the photos together, and I think we've got a couple coming up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the exact same day we're opening, because we picked this date back in April, gang. So here's just some of the construction back in the day, and the carpet's still being laid out, even though we had passengers there in the terminal. It was a lot different facility back in the 1980s, right? Because, pre-9/11 and so on. That's the old control tower that's long gone now. But see there, Easton's first arriving flight, Orlando National Airport, September 20th, 1981. So we've come a long way in those 41 years from that facility there. So look at the numbers. This is a really important statistic. We are actually, in domestic flights, our rolling 12 months, 1.9% higher than 2019. And the only lagging indicator is the internationals. No surprise, not unique to us. It's an international. It's across the board, right? That's the only lagging. If we were at that same pace internationally, we would be over 53 million passengers going through a terminal that was designed for 24. And over the years, we kept eking out more capacity, but we obviously have reached its end. We are the 7th busiest in the world. Great to have, it's amazing to think about that. And we're the 2nd largest origin and destination market in the United States behind LAX. Right? So again, we're not a connecting airport. We're not, a hub to a certain airline. We have all that opportunity then to really capture the experiences and really bring in here what's unique about Central Florida. So today, actually this graphic was done last week, and over the weekend we added a couple of additional nonstop flights. I'm not sure if you saw social media. So we had trials here on Saturday, so I'll give you the little backstory real quick. So we had to bring people in to try out the airport. Bring in like a bag, check it in, go to your gate. So we were populating the different departures and arrivals. Well, this is connected to the North Terminal, so I can't put JetBlue flight blank to Boston because those people over there thinking they're coming here, right? So we had to make up 5 fictional cities. So on Saturday, Orlando International Airport was the first airport to have nonstop flights to Gotham City. We had nonstop flights to Metropolis, to Narnia. I don't know how we got that plane to land at Big Ben, but we went to Big Ben. And I can't remember the last one. There was another one. But anyway, so it was pretty neat. We took a couple of pictures because the backboards at the gates had Gotham City on it. It was like pretty neat. Of course, we were waiting on Batman. But anyway, 96 domestic. And this continues to grow thanks to the benefit and help and leadership of Vicki and her team. They are constantly looking at both domestic and international and how we can add additional service. And listen, they come all the time. The airlines come visit us. I know some of you are here talking about expansion. And we're very happy to then showcase this facility to help facilitate that. So when we open on September 20th, we have 15 gates when we start. That's phase 1. By the way, if you ever want to see the ultimate build out, if you go into the train station on level 3, there is a model of the ultimate build out of Terminal C. And so you'll see the full phase development of this facility. But we have 20 aircraft positions with those 15 gates because as you walk later, you'll see some of them have an A and B, so we can do 2 narrow bodies at those gates. 23 food and beverage locations, 11 retail, a lounge right above us here, Plaza Premium. Again, you hear a lot about the baggage handling system, but more importantly, it's about leveraging technology throughout and how we can leverage that technology to really build this facility for generations to come. Because you think about those other generations, that's all about for them. The Z's and so on, that's what they're looking for. So that's how we've looked at this facility and how we could build it. In your flyers, some of you should have received a flyer, you have this diagrammic that shows you the map. It's a little different setup here, as some of you saw today. A lot of you were remarking to me that arrivals up top was amazing. Because if it's all about the Orlando experience, it's all about that first and last impression. So people coming in today, we want them to see that, yes, you are in Florida. And being at arrival up top obviously sets that tone. Our food and beverage concepts are actually a little bit of both. Some that you are familiar with, like the Chick-fil-A and the Auntie Annie's, but the others that are the local flavor, the Cask and Larder and so on, Barney's. And they're spread throughout, but 93% of the concessions are actually on the air side. Because I don't know about you, but most people, when they come to the airport, they want to get through the TSA checkpoint and get to their gate. So again, this whole airport's designed with those lessons learned from what we're seeing on Terminals A and B. Plaza Premium Lounge, again, is above here in the Palm Court, and they have obviously dedicated space not only for families and kids, but obviously business travelers as well. And they've had locations in Boston, San Francisco, and other airports, both domestically and internationally. And what's the future hold? So some of you are familiar that we just went to the board and asked for approval to seek bids to expand this facility already and add 4 new gates down that wing over there. We're going to complete the pedestrian bridge that connects this terminal to the train station. We're going to have expanded rental car spaces, and we're going to provide enhanced aesthetics. But more importantly, where does it go from here? And as I talked to you, I mentioned earlier, the terminal, the train station can show the vision of this airport and how Phase 2 adds another 15 gates. We'll have modal connections to secure corridor and additional passenger amenities. There is a lot of potential built into this new facility. And obviously, we're becoming multimodal with our partners here at Brightline. So coming next year, they're going to be coming their service between South Florida and MCO. And it's really going to be a game changer for this community. And that's where we start to think about then, what was that vision back in the day? It really was making this a multimodal hub, and now that vision is becoming a reality. So thank you for being here this morning. I will turn it over to Raquel, so she'll moderate the rest of this panel, and thanks again for being here.
It is absolutely incredible to stand in a room in front of 400 people, Vicki? 400 people in the brand new terminal, which will quite frankly be a game changer for the city of Orlando and for the Orlando region. And every single one of you in this room, sitting in these seats, will play a major role in the success, not just of the airport as a whole, but of the success for Terminal C. So we thought, what better way to be able to welcome in and usher in this new era for MCO than to have Edward Russell, the transportation editor and reporter for Skift Airline Weekly. And we want to give you basically a state of the industry. Why is this necessary? You heard from Kevin earlier why we need this and the growth. We are bursting at the seams. But Edward Russell is going to give you the idea of who's flying where, and then of course give you the insightful analysis of the global airline industry. Edward Russell has been covering airlines since 2012, so just before, everything happened with COVID. In fact, two of the things we're going to be talking about today, two milestones that he's covered since covering the airline industry since 2012. One of those, of course, being COVID, another one being a major airline merger between US Airways and American. But he's going to give you a state of the industry, and who better to give you the state of the industry than a man who covers the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, Edward Russell.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Raquel. It's a pleasure to be here in this beautiful terminal today. I've told a few of you the last time I was here, there was just pilings in the ground, so it's amazing to see it really come together. So today I want to talk a little bit about where the airline industry is now coming out of the coronavirus pandemic. So more Americans traveled this summer than at any time since the pandemic began. If you look at this chart from Skift Research, 53% of Americans hit the road in July. 53%. That's impressive considering only 18% of Americans were traveling in April 2020 during the height of the pandemic. Now, not all of those people flew. Many hit the road, some took the train, but airplanes were full, airports were packed this summer, and if any of you wanted to buy a ticket somewhere, I'm sure you experienced the high airfares that were being charged. Now, travel wasn't without its challenges this summer. Staffing issues affected a lot of airlines. There's a pilot shortage amongst regional carriers that's impacting service. A lot of entry-level positions were difficult to fill, and I know airports have faced those, many businesses in the hospitality industry. And then there's something that in the airline industry they call juniority. In other words, early in the pandemic, a lot of senior staff left airlines, and that was a bit of a brain drain. They lost that knowledge. And so some airlines have hired these people back. They're back to pre-pandemic numbers, but the new staff just don't have that experience. So even if numbers were back, they weren't able to handle the same number of passengers, the same number of flights as before. And so that really impacted airlines this summer. On top of all these things, there was weather. Air traffic control had its constraints. As many of you here know, Jacksonville Center, which handles all the flights between most of the US and Florida, they had staffing issues. And then, locally, there were space launches, which also disrupt flights here at Orlando. And I've been watching the Artemis launch, so that's been postponed, but I'm sure that'll offer some new flight delays when that happens. All told, airlines flew about 15% fewer flights this summer than they planned. And while airlines typically put out a larger schedule than they plan to fly, 15% is higher than what they would normally cut. So it wasn't a great summer for airlines, and like I said, passengers paid the price with delayed and canceled flights and high airfares. All said though, the US air travel recovery is nearly complete. Now, Kevin touched on MCO and how domestic numbers are up. And this chart, which is from Airlines for America, shows air travel volumes at the end of August. And domestic was down just 2%. 2% at the end of August, which, like I said, I mean, pretty much no one was flying in April 2020, and here we are 2 years later. Now, just for a little context, when I was writing about the industry in 2020, 2021, people were saying we wouldn't see a full recovery till maybe 2023, probably 2024. Here we are, 2022. And over Labor Day, TSA screened 3% more people than they did in 2019, which is the first sustained holiday weekend above 2019 numbers. So, domestic travel is back. It's pretty impressive. International is a different story. This Airlines for America data shows it's still down about 4% at the end of August. And that's a bit of, there's two sides to that tale. Near international destinations like Mexico and the Caribbean, more people are going there than they did before. But Asia is still largely closed off. So that's still got a ways to go. Orlando Airport is one of the airports that's really benefited from the recovery. So what we've seen is leisure travelers came back first. People wanted to get out of their houses after what we've been calling in the industry pent-up demand. They wanted to go to outdoor destinations, beaches, mountains, theme parks, golf courses, and Orlando Airport has really been proven to be a durable destination for those travelers. People want to come here. As you can see, there's far fewer airports that will have more seats in September and October than did in 2019. And Orlando is an even smaller group that will have more than 10% more seats. So that clearly shows that airlines are flying where people want to go, and that's Orlando. It also benefits this airport that you have some of the fastest recovering airlines have bases here. Frontier Airlines, Spirit Airlines, Southwest Airlines will all be up this fall, Frontier and Spirit by double digits. And then the airport has also benefited from some of the new startups that we've seen during the pandemic. Avelo Airlines has opened a base here, and then from Europe, North Atlantic Airways, a low-cost, long-haul carrier, is serving Orlando as their first destination in Florida. So looking forward, the industry is expecting a slowdown in travel as we move into the fall, and there's nothing to be worried about there. That typically happens. Kids go back to school after Labor Day, people are back in the office, travel slows down. But with concerns about inflation and a potential recession, people have been asking questions, but airlines have yet to see any real slowdown in demand beyond the historic trends. So that's good. What airlines are hoping for is that business travel comes back this fall. According to Airlines for America, bookings are still down for corporate travel about 28% compared to 2019 in August. So there's still a ways to go there, and airlines are hoping that corporate travelers are going to have the same pent-up demand that leisure travelers have had this fall. So people want to see their clients they haven't seen in a few years, maybe meet colleagues that they've only had Zoom meetings with. So there's really a hope that there's going to be a step up in that corporate travel this fall. And then some of the bigger trends that we've seen during the pandemic are continuing. One of those was the rise of premium leisure travel. Now, a premium leisure traveler is someone who maybe before the pandemic would buy an economy seat, stay at a Courtyard by Marriott, and hey, no offense to Courtyard by Marriotts, I stay at them all the time, love them. But now as those travelers are willing to spend up a little bit, buy maybe a premium economy seat, a business class seat, stay at a nicer hotel. And those travelers have stayed from the pandemic and through the recovery. Airlines are investing, they're putting in more premium seats, Delta, United, Air France, all investing in this. And places like in this terminal, this beautiful terminal, we've got a Plaza Premium Lounge, which is an amenity that those travelers really look for. So this airport is setting up well to meet that new demand and really meet the growing number of passengers. If you're interested in learning more, please visit airlineweekly.com. If you're interested, we have an exciting subscription offer, and Raquel, happy to chat more.
What I love is that Edward, you are a salesman at heart because you want to get people to sign up for the subscription, which is absolutely fantastic, and I applaud you for that. So I'm so excited to have this chat here, especially after you gave a state of the industry. Out of all those slides that you went through, what is the one most surprising statistic that as you compile this presentation for those in the room, that even caught you by surprise?
It was how much domestic air travel has come back this summer. You know, I should say that airlines are still flying about 10% less overall than they flew in 2019. But when I saw that traffic was down just 2% domestically in August, like, that really struck me. And then when I saw the Labor Day numbers yesterday, I mean, up over Labor Day. I mean, you've got to understand, when I was writing about this industry in 2020 and people were saying 2024 for recovery, some people were saying, you know, maybe travel might never recover, like at least business travel. It were dark days, and now to see it back, and we're in 2022. This is far faster than anyone expected, and that's really what struck me putting this together.
You know, those in the room here dealt with the tourism industry, quite frankly, going on halt when COVID happened. You know, there were stakeholder meetings, there were, you know, planning sessions to make sure it happens. When we heard 2024 was going to be pre-pandemic levels, I think everybody thought, we don't have that much time. We need that to happen now to see that exponential growth, you know, in a short amount of time is very reassuring for the industry as a whole. You used the word durable, and I liked that word.
Yes. No, yeah, it's very durable. That's for sure.
The key word also resilient. You know, the key words that we hear a lot these days are sustainability and resiliency. I think we all love those words given the pandemic. In fact, the COVID is one of the milestones that you said you had covered that really changed your outlook on the industry. Does that really change how you project 5, 10, 15 years from now, given you've seen how fast we've been able to bounce back, if you will?
Absolutely. So, you know, the airline industry has always been subject to highs and lows, recessions, you know, macroeconomic events. But COVID, I mean, when we were at the beginning of this, it really looked like this could be dark days. I mean, we're warning airline bankruptcies and everything. I mean, the Fed stepped in the US and protected airlines. But I mean, travel has just proven so durable. And I think it's more than just airlines. There's a cultural shift. I mean, I'm a millennial. I talk about millennials, Gen Z. You know, we really appreciate experiences more than buying stuff. And we've seen those, you know, my generation, younger people have flocked back to travel, going, you know, what is digital nomad life. And we're seeing, like, people want to get out there. And I really see that going forward is, you know, despite what economic shocks or, you know, come, people want to travel. They want to come to destinations. And yeah, it has really confirmed, like, my view and really changed it about the durability of this industry.
You know, one of the interesting things about the airline industry, especially COVID, what is it that you think the airline industry did well that helped position it to bounce back fairly quick? And what do you think they could have done better to prepare themselves to come out of it? You know, I mean, I know we've bounced back faster than we anticipated, but what's the one thing that you think they did well?
I think early on, airlines were very adept to stop flying. You know, it was tough. No airline wants to stop flying. I mean, that's how they make their money. But we didn't see airlines flying planes around for months at a time empty. We saw, you know, I always think Delta, the image of all the Delta planes parked at the runway at Atlanta Airport. Like, that was within a month of the pandemic happening. And I think I really applaud all the people in the airline industry that put these planes down so quickly, parked the airline because they knew that they were, you know, hemorrhaging money. And I really applaud. That wasn't an easy thing to do. On top of that, I should say, airlines maintain connectivity. Because even in April 2020, we had essential workers that had to travel around the country to treat COVID cases. And, you know, the airline staff were working hard. You know, they had to completely throw out the schedules that they'd built, you know, for years. And they don't, you know, I should say an airline doesn't rebuild their schedule every month. Like, they take the schedule they had last year and tweak it and stuff. But these people had to basically throw it out, build an entirely new schedule where they maintained, you know, a connection so you could get from New York to Tucson, maybe only one time a day because no one's traveling, but they still needed to do that. And, you know, that was an amazing challenge, and the airlines rose to that occasion.
I mean, they had the opportunity, quite frankly, to start from scratch.
Exactly.
Which, you know, I don't know how much of that is still lingering today, but the ability to just rebuild from the ground up, it gives you the ability to change some of the challenges that they had pre-pandemic.
Right, and a lot of airlines will tell you now that they've taken flexibility out of this. And you know, that's something I hope they keep, because in this industry, I mean, you need flexibility and stuff. But you also asked Raquel about what, you know, what they could have done better.
Right.
And the thing that I've heard repeatedly is that, you know, airlines were a little maybe too aggressive at offering these early buyout packages, early retirements to staff early on in the pandemic, and too many people left. And that's what's caused some of the staffing, the juniority issues that they're facing today. Now, if you remember, the CARES Act prevented them from involuntarily furloughing people, which was great. We would have seen far more people drop out of the industry if that hadn't happened. But a lot of staff still left with those packages, and that's created some of the struggles that airlines are facing today.
And speaking of airlines, you know, you covered since 2012 U.S. Airways and United merger. American merger, I apologize to my friends in the room. I apologize, scrap that from the record. But we are also in the midst of JetBlue and Spirit, right? Pending merger there as well. What are some of the similarities and differences? And the key here is it going to be good for consumers? Because at the end of the day, the consumers are going to come here to the Orlando area.
Absolutely. So let's talk about similarities first. JetBlue Spirit is sort of built on the idea that a larger airline is going to be more durable, more profitable, frankly, than a smaller carrier is going to be. And that idea has been proven again and again, first with U.S. Airways America West in 2005, and every merger since then has proven that basically airlines can gain more pricing power, they can charge more, which isn't necessarily good for consumers, but it's good for the bottom line if you're an airline. So that's what's behind the JetBlue Spirit, why JetBlue wants to merge with Spirit. But the differences between American and US Airways are significant. You know, that was a deal that then US Airways CEO Doug Parker really pushed. Which American at first was hesitant, but he got the unions on board, he got staff on board, he got everyone behind him before American agreed to a deal, which proved to be really good because the US Airways American merger avoided a lot of the culture clash that some previous deals have happened. And when I see the JetBlue Spirit deal happen, it's, you know, really, JetBlue has appealed to the investor community to get behind them, and that's ultimately how they won the bid for Spirit. But I don't see that labor buy-in yet. Yes, some of the unions have come out saying that they will, you know, work with the combined airline, but you know, the potential for a culture clash between a budget carrier and JetBlue, which is a bit of a hybrid, you know, is significant, and I mean that's a concern. And then you also asked about consumers, right? Consumers.
Is this going to be good for consumers? Because at the end of the day, you know, you want to hope that it's good for us who are going to be sitting in the airplanes.
Yes, probably not. Sorry, to be blunt. Spirit is a extremely budget carrier. If any of you have flown, you know you're going to be peanuts for your ticket, but then you're going to pay $25 for a seat and a bag and stuff. But they drive a lot of traffic. They have low costs, they're able to charge cheap fares, and they serve an important part of the market. JetBlue does not sit in that part of the market. JetBlue is more of a mid-tier airline. They're between the Americans, Uniteds, and Deltas, but they're not budget either. And frankly, JetBlue's costs are, I don't know the exact numbers, but they are a good deal higher than Spirit's. And so the truth is they can't charge fares as cheap as Spirit does. So a merger is going to result in some higher fares. That's the simple logic of it.
Nice, short and sweet, right? Obviously, the reason that we're here is to support the growth here for Terminal C. 7th busiest airport in the world, and I love seeing a statistic like that that really pins us up against some of the bigger players in the world, right? I like to say universe, but let's say world. One of the key differentiating factors for MCO as a whole, when you look at Terminal A, Terminal B, and Terminal C, is the ability to do multimodal connectivity, regional mobility with Brightline, who will be doing tours later as well after you do, tour of Terminal C. So 2023 is going to be kind of the line in the sand for where we're finally going to be a multimodal destination. How does this make MCO that much more attractive both for domestic travelers, which is a majority of our traffic, and also for international travelers as well?
I say it makes MCO a lot more attractive. I've spoken to 2 airline CEOs, foreign airline CEOs just this year who have mentioned Brightline. in their route considerations. One of them, North Atlantic, started service in August, I believe. Yeah, and they've talked about it. And another, which isn't coming in right now, but Play Airlines out of Iceland, their CEO really touted Brightline as a great attractiveness to this airport. And the truth is foreign visitors expect to get off their flight, be able to easily walk to a train if they need to go to the rental car center, like whatever it is. It is a driver, and as more airlines expand to the U.S., and internationally that's going to happen, because the U.S. market is proven extremely resilient and durable and come back from the pandemic, these airlines are going to be looking for this connection. So, let's just say, when I'm an airline and I'm looking at where to serve in Florida, Orlando having a train station that can get my passengers to Disney, to Fort Lauderdale, to Miami, to Tampa eventually, I'm gonna be like, wow, that's a great opportunity. I wanna fly there because my passengers can go on and I don't have to fly to Miami and Tampa and Orlando. Yeah, maybe someday I will, but for a first point, that makes Orlando much more attractive. And I think we're gonna see a lot more of that once the rail line actually comes into the airport.
I mean, quite frankly, it's meeting travelers what they want already, right? It's what they expect. It's part of the experience, which is what Orlando is known for. I always like to do these rapid fire questions, and don't worry, we'll not put you in trouble.
So she says.
So I say, what's your favorite airport? Don't answer that. It's Terminal CMCO, right? I'm a mind reader.
Of course.
A mind reader, okay. What's your best meal that you've ever had in an airport, and where?
Chilaquiles at the Mexico City airport, New Year's Day morning. It was amazing.
Why?
Why? Probably because I was hungover and really
Sorry. Very honest answer, which I appreciate it. Most interesting amenity you've ever seen at an airport?
Oh, that's a good one. Gosh, that stumped me. Yoga rooms are fantastic. I'll say that.
Yoga rooms?
Yeah, yoga rooms.
Kevin, yoga room. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something you wish airports should have but don't.
Gyms. Every airport should have a gym. Yeah.
For the layovers.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I just want to sleep on the couch.
Oh, no. I like to work out on my layovers, so I love gyms. Yeah.
Sounds like something for the Premium Plaza. Okay, travel alone or travel with company?
Well, I have a small child, so I have really grown to enjoy traveling with him. He's great, so I'm going to say traveling with company.
Window or aisle seat?
Window, always.
Why?
Why? To look out, and never with the shade down. Shades are up, yes.
All the time?
All the time.
I'm a window person too. Okay, so the last one, because I want everybody to walk away today with an action plan to support the growth here for Terminal C and for MCO. So those in the room, you've met a number of them. It's a cross-section of the Orlando region, from tourism to businesses to banking to binational chambers. I mean, you name it. Yeah. These are the people that make, and the companies that make the Orlando economic region tick, right? So what can those in the room today do to support keeping Orlando in the spot as the 7th busiest airport in the world, and maybe take us up toward the 6th and the 5th?
Well, it's really, a whole community that supports an airport. It's everything. It's the theme parks, it's the sports venues, it's the golf course, everything that supports this airport. But really, the fact that the community has supported the city and the airport and the county as it's built this facility and through the pandemic is key, because like I said, seats are up 10% this fall. They're only going to keep going up. This terminal, now I know there was some risk that it could have been paused during the pandemic, some parts were paused, and the fact that you guys kept building is amazing. And you need to keep supporting this airport as it goes forward, because airlines never complain about having new terminals, really. They complain about not having access to an airport. So if you wait too long and an airline can't get in, they're gonna fly to Tampa, they're gonna fly to Fort Lauderdale. But the fact that you've got this and you continue to offer the airlines amenities that they want, that's fantastic, and you should keep doing that.
Speaking of delays too, a little bit of grace goes a long way.
Absolutely. Right? When you're traveling, just remember, probably the person behind the desk is most likely new. Just be a little calm, be patient with them. They're working hard, they're doing their best. We've all been so new at a job, and it's stressful, and it's, just a little grace would be great.
And for those of you in the room who will end up taking some of those passengers after they leave the airport, you too play a critical role in ensuring that that experience that they have after they leave the airport is just as cohesive and as seamless. So thank you very much, and round of applause for Edward Russell.
Edward, I loved your chilaquiles and why you like those, number one, too. Just want to thank you all again for being here to experience this new Orlando experience, and give yourself a round of applause.